Coming up on 5 Minute News. GOP insurrectionist Mike Johnson elected House Speaker. Autoworkers reach deal with Ford to avert strike. And scientists warn Earth's vital signs worse than at any time in history. It's Thursday, October 26. I'm Anthony Davis. The Republican Party unanimously elected Representative Mike Johnson as House Speaker on Wednesday, eagerly elevating a far-right Christian nationalist to the major seat of U.S. power and ending, for now, the weeks of political chaos in their majority. 51-year-old Johnson of Louisiana swept through on the first ballot with support from all Republicans anxious to put the past weeks behind them and get on with the business of governing. He was quickly sworn into office, second in line to the presidency. The People's House is back in business, Johnson declared after taking the gavel. A lower-ranked member of the House GOP leadership team, Johnson emerged as the fourth Republican nominee in what has become an almost absurd cycle of political infighting since Kevin McCarthy's ousting as GOP factions jockeyed for power. While not in the party's top choice for the gavel, the anti-abortion and anti-gay Johnson has few foes and an important GOP backer, Donald Trump. Far-right members of the House had refused to accept a more traditional speaker, and moderate conservatives didn't want a hardliner. While Johnson had no opponents during a private party roll call late on Tuesday, some 24 Republicans did not vote, more than enough to sink his nomination. Johnson is a lawyer by trade, specializing in constitutional issues. He'd rallied Republicans around Trump's legal effort to overturn the 2020 election results. Republicans had been flailing all month, unable to conduct routine business, as they fought amongst themselves with daunting challenges ahead. The United Autoworkers Union said yesterday it had reached a tentative contract agreement with Ford that could be a breakthrough toward ending the nearly 6-week-old strikes against Detroit automakers. The 4-year deal, which still has to be approved by 57,000 union members at the company, could bring a close to the union's series of strikes at targeted factories run by Ford, General Motors, and Jeep maker Stellantis. The Ford deal could set the pattern for agreements with the other two automakers, although no agreements were announced. The union called on all workers at Ford to return to their jobs and says that will put pressure on GM and Stellantis to bargain. "We told Ford to pony up, and they did," President Shawn Fain said in a video address to members. "We won things no one thought possible." He added that Ford put 50% more money on the table than it did before the strike started on September 15. UAW Vice President Chuck Browning, the chief negotiator with Ford, said workers will get a 25% general wage increase plus cost of living raises that will put the pay increase over 30% to above $40 an hour. Previously, Ford, Stellantis, and General Motors had only offered 23% pay increases. Typically, during past auto strikes, a UAW deal with one automaker has led the other companies to match it with their own settlements. Browning said temporary workers will get more in wage increases than they have over the past 22 years combined. Temporary workers will get raises over 150%, and retirees will get annual bonuses, he said. Earth's vital signs are worse than at any time in human history, an international team of scientists has warned, meaning life on the planet is in peril. Their report found that 20 of the 35 planetary vital signs they use to track the climate crisis are at record extremes. As well as greenhouse gas emissions, global temperature and sea level rise, the indicators also include human and livestock population numbers. Many climate records were broken by enormous margins in 2023, including global air temperature, ocean temperature, and Antarctic sea ice extent, the researchers said. The highest monthly surface temperature ever recorded was in July and was probably the hottest the planet has been in 100,000 years. The scientists also highlighted an extraordinary wildfire season in Canada that produced unprecedented carbon dioxide emissions. These totaled 1 billion tons of CO2, equivalent to the entire annual output of Japan, the world's fifth biggest polluter. They said the huge area burned could indicate a tipping point into a new fire regime. The researchers urged a transition to a global economy that prioritized human well-being and cut the overconsumption and excessive emissions of the rich. The top 10% of emitters were responsible for almost 50% of global emissions, they said. By 2100, as many as 3 to 6 billion people may find themselves outside Earth's livable regions, meaning they will be encountering severe heat, limited food availability, and elevated mortality rates. The statistical trend showed deeply alarming patterns of climate-related variables and disasters. They also found little progress to report as far as humanity combating climate change. 5 Minute News is an Evergreen podcast covering politics, inequality, health and climate, delivering independent, unbiased and essential world news daily. A crazy schedule can make it easy to fall back into your dinner time recipe rut. Keep mealtime exciting with over 40 recipes to choose from every week, so there's always something delicious to discover with HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit. With so many in-season ingredients, you'll taste all the freshness of fall in every bite of HelloFresh's chef-crafted recipes. Produce travels from the farm to your door for peak ripeness you can taste. We all know HelloFresh takes the hassle out of mealtime, but did you know it can also save you money? HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout. That means less stress in your day and more money back in your pocket. HelloFresh makes cooking so easy and fast. It's something that I really need in my life and really look forward to. Go to hellofresh.com/55minute and use code 55minute for 50% off plus free shipping. That's hellofresh.com/55minute and use code 55minute for 50% off plus free shipping. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit.